Stop. This isn't wisdom. This is ego in disguise. You might think you're growing. You might think you're wise. But what if you're just a tiny fly floating in donkey pee?
Sounds harsh.
Rumi said this, and he meant every word. He once told the story of a proud little fly buzzing inside a puddle of urine, flapping on a straw and shouting, "I am the captain of a great sea." But that wasn't a joke, it was a mirror for those of us who confuse illusion with wisdom. Today we're peeling back the curtain on 4 ways the ego quietly wrecks our lives through Rumi's piercing words. Because ego doesn't show up as arrogance, it disguises itself as confidence, as control, as power. But Rumi warned, your intellect used to lead the way, but now it must obey. The first sign is when you mistake information for transformation. You read the books, you binge spiritual videos, you share deep quotes, but inside nothing moves, nothing shifts. That's because the ego collects knowledge like it's collecting trophies. Rumi said, you paint a picture of a man and it may look perfect, but it still lacks a soul. You post about peace but argue in secret. You speak about God but your heart remains disconnected. You wear the robe of devotion but never kneel in surrender. This isn't transformation, this is performance. True wisdom softens you. It makes you gentle. Fake wisdom makes you loud. And the ego, it doesn't care about truth. It just wants to look wise. And Rumi said this, the fly thought a single drop could stretch forever because that's all it could see. You believe your little puddle of ideas is an ocean of truth, but it's not. The second sign is when you confuse your following with your worth. You chase likes, applause, praise. You measure your growth in hearts and views. But somewhere inside you still feel hollow. Rumi said, beware of those who confuse echo with voice. A voice is born from the soul. An echo is just your ego, shouting into emptiness and mistaking the bounce for affirmation. Just because many hear you doesn't mean you've said something true. Just because many follow doesn't mean you're walking the right path. The ego craves a crowd, but the soul craves silence. You don't want truth, you want attention, you don't want growth, you want validation. But Rumi said, your heart's light source is nothing but God's light. Not social media, not applause, not image. Only light, only Him. The third sign is when you believe that your struggle makes you enlightened. You went through pain, now you think you've arrived. You carry your scars like they're sacred proof of awakening. But Rumi said, if you stop reading from your own small view, the phoenix will grant kingdoms to you. Yes, your wounds are real, but your perspective might still be small. You had one heartbreak, now you teach love. You lost something once, now you preach detachment. But you're not on the mountain yet, you're still in the puddle. The same puddle the fly flaps around in, claiming it's flying above oceans. The ego turns pain into performance. But the soul lets pain humble it. Ego wears suffering like a crown. Wisdom wears it like dust. And Rumi said, die each moment to the ego and be reborn in truth. If you don't let your pain kill your pride, it will only feed it. The fourth sign is the inability to be wrong. You argue constantly. You need to be right, to win, to dominate. But Rumi said, the real trap is not being small. It's thinking your smallness is the whole universe. The ego can't stand being questioned. It clings to opinions, even if they hurt others.
It fights to be seen.
It fights to win. It doesn't listen, it doesn't learn. The soul, though, it listens with hunger. It grows when it's challenged. The ego builds walls. The soul builds bridges. Rumi said this, your mind is a tool, not a master. When it bows to truth, it grows. Let it bow. Let it admit I don't know. That's when real knowing begins. So what was Rumi really trying to show us? That the fly isn't evil. It's just tiny, trapped in its size. But when it believes its dirty drop is a mighty sea, that's when it becomes dangerous. And that's us. When we confuse ego with wisdom, when we take illusion for enlightenment, when we shine with borrowed light and think it's our own. Rumi said, without the sun, all colors disappear. Without divine light, your ideas are just noise in a puddle. To look wise is ego. To become wise is surrender. So ask yourself, are you drinking from the ocean of truth? Or sipping illusions from a glowing puddle? Because flies only float, but souls?
Souls dive deep.
Rumi said this, and he meant every word.